What's up, guys? We're back. Dynasty Life, fantasy football here with the hammer.
In the house. It was a terrific birthday. I had to pop in on you guys, let you know what time it is, show my dedication to the show. But I'm back. I'm sober. Well, sort of. I got a beer here, but no hard stuff. No hard stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you missed it last show on Tuesday, it was Hammer's birthday, so he popped in for a couple quick drunk seconds and popped out.
Yeah. That's an accurate way to describe it. 100%.
But yeah, I mean we're week 5 now,
Whew.
so
I can't believe a month has gone by already.
it's flying by already. Things are starting to show.
Or not show, for that matter.
Yeah. But yeah, so we are now another week in where we've got still a bunch of injuries, um, and a bunch of guys that are just going
Not.
bonkers, like Nick Chubb,
Yeah.
and a bunch of guys that are just not producing and have just been disappointments. So yeah. Who's a guy that's disappointed you, I guess, on one of your fantasy teams that's really disappointed you so far this season?
Um. Well, besides this past Sunday, it's really been Austin Eckler. I know he had the breakout monster game, so I can't really, but just overall, you know what I mean? From the first 3 weeks, he had a really good week 4, but I was expecting a little more consistency in terms of Austin Eckler's productions. I know he wasn't going to give me 20 touchdowns again, but I expected some more volume out of him, and it just didn't, come to fruition. So Austin Eckler came to mind. Obviously, like I said, the week 4 production was really good. Jamar Chase, outside of that week 1, he hasn't been, the guy that I traded for in my dynasty team. Luckily, I have Cooper Kupp on that team, so I'm kind of treading water so far. So really, I guess Austin Eckler and Jamar Chase would be the guys for me off my team specifically. Outside of 1 week, and those are guys that you drafted really high. So, if I'm only getting good production every 1 out of 4 weeks, that's not going to get it done from where you drafted them. So I'll go Austin Eckler and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eckler will be okay. I mean, obviously he had, the 20 touchdowns last year, which of course is going to be hard to, do again.
Yeah, but even if he recedes to 12, then
Yeah.
that's fine.
So,
He's not on pace for 12.
but yeah, I mean, he's still going to get the ball. I think it just took him a little bit but the whole offense has been in a funk in general. So, once they start rolling, I think, he'll be okay, which does make a good kind of, well, before last week, I don't, after last week, it's going to be harder to get him, but before last week was a
Buy
good
low guy.
time
Yeah.
to try and get him, and buy low. But Jamar Chase, I mean, even last year, it's not like he was consistent. Like,
No, he wasn't.
he had a bunch of, monster games and a bunch of,
Quiet
okay
game.
games
It
for
was a
whole
roller
week.
coaster. Yeah.
So, where T. Higgins seems to be the little bit more kind of consistent guy,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, for me, unless you've seen my show on, Allen Robinson,
That's
disappointed, very disappointed.
a big one.
And I guess I was kind of skeptical a little bit at first, but then I kind of hopped on, like, all right, it is Allen Robinson. He's still winning on the majority of his routes, and the Bears was just the Bears. Now he's going to be, with Stafford. We saw what OBJ did, and how he was, relevant at
And
least.
Robert Woods to a
He didn't
lesser
go,
degree.
yeah, right. He didn't go crazy, but he was, relevant
Stable.
and and
Stable.
scoring touchdowns. So you kind of expected that to be like the minimum of, what OBJ did. You expected pretty much Allen Robinson to come right in and do at least that or better.
Mm-hmm.
And not only has he been disappointing, but Matt Stafford as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I have them both in one league, and they've just absolutely killed me. And it's just like, all right, let's give it one more week. Let's give it one more week. And last week I didn't play him. I benched Allen Robinson. I still played Matt Stafford, but I benched Allen Robinson. I should have sat Stafford too, but
What was your other option for Stafford?
I don't even think I had another QB.
Right. So
I mean, Carson Wentz was maybe out there. It's not like there's a better option. That's my problem, is that on the waivers, there's not a better option for me to really play.
And when we're talking about these disappointing guys, a guy like Allen Robinson, with wide receiver being as deep as it is, and guys getting opportunities like a Curtis Samuel kind of emerging, like a Dortch for the first couple of weeks, emerging, like a Mac Hollins kind of breaking out. I feel like wide receiver is one of those positions where if you have a guy that you expected more stable production out of and he's not giving it to you, you can find, comparable options, with guys who might not be as big of a name, but their role is such where they're going to get some opportunities. As I said, a guy like Curtis Samuel, you wouldn't have thought to play him early in the year over a guy like Allen Robinson, but that's kind of a no-brainer at this point if you have that option.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem, is that you did draft these guys, and even though, yeah, maybe they had a bad week 1, bad week 2, you didn't go out and go pick up the Greg Dortch, or you didn't go pick up the Curtis Samuel, So it's just like, they screwed you, enough where it's just like it's too late to kind of grab, anybody comparable even, off the waiver, depending how deep, of course, your league is and stuff.
But
like
I also feel like, especially at that wide receiver position, just to hone in on that, and even running back to a lesser degree, if guys are getting hurt or guys are stepping up into opportunities, there's always going to be at least a handful of guys on a per week basis that are going to have a good opportunity in terms of a target share, in terms of stepping into maybe like a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 role on a given week. But a guy like Allen Robinson wasn't drafted crazy high where you expected him to be. If you're expecting him to be a wide receiver 1, we're in trouble. I don't think a lot of people have done that. Wide receiver 2, maybe, he should have been your wide receiver 3 at best. And it's shaping up that he's not even, like, you can't play him right now. You can't.
Oh, not even at wide receiver 3. That's the problem. He's like a wide receiver 5, 6. Like, it's rough. But yeah, Stafford's been, disappointing as well. I mean, the whole Rams have been disappointing. I mean, Cam Akers, Henderson.
Well, not my guy. My guy never disappoints.
Well, no, Cup is always going to get, the work. So that's the one thing about the Rams that you can't count on, But I'm sitting at 1-3, 0-4 in 2 redraft leagues, and doing good in all my other ones, but my 2 home ones not doing good.
Dynasty,
And,
not so much either.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about redraft, but it's been rough. I got St. Brown and Swift, and they've both been out. I had Stafford and Robinson on one of those teams, so that is killing me. And then I lost Javonte on one of those teams, so that is killing me. So it just it's been rough. It's been a little bit rough, but yeah. So now I'm like thinking like, all right, maybe I got to make some trades and just shake shit up, or see what I can get for certain guys, and try and put out a better team. So what is a guy that you think right now is a good buy low kind of guy, or to try and go out and get?
It's really tough to say, to be honest with you, because some of these buy low guys are guys that were drafted high, right? Because, if you have the expectation that a guy is going to do really well, and he's not doing so well, it's kind of tough to trade him for 75 cents on the dollar just because of where you drafted him, the capital you had to invest. So it's really tough for me to kind of target a buy low guy specifically. But I've seen Jamar Chase on the trading block in a couple of our leagues, and I think some people are kind of getting a little frustrated with the boomer bust nature of a Jamar Chase. So if you can go out and get Jamar Chase, he could make a difference down the stretch. The Bengals played really well down the stretch of the season last year. If people are willing to give up on Jamar Chase, because it does, like you said, it seems like T. Higgins is the guy that is going to get most of the stable production, but Jamar Chase is going to move the needle on a given week. Now, if he's going in as your wide receiver one, which most people, he is, you have to have somebody that has a stable floor. If you're going to go pick up a Jamar Chase, like a T. Higgins, I probably wouldn't stack both of them. But if you have a high floor guy and Jamar Chase is available, he could put you over the top going down the stretch because he is such a dynamic athlete. Joe Burrow's a really good quarterback. And I think they'll put it together coming down the stretch. So Jamar Chase is kind of a buy, I wouldn't say low, but like a buy medium kind of guy because I've seen him on trading blocks across a couple of different leagues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are like either not producing well and
or up to their draft,
or well enough, or there's a lot of teams that are 1-3 or 0-4, and they just need to make a move or try and take a 2-for-1 or some shit like that, where they need help in other areas. So
yep.
I've got a bunch of guys. So we'll talk about a bunch of guys in a minute. But yeah, Jamar Chase is one of those guys that you want to, maybe try and go out and get from that owner because they could be frustrated and they might want something more, consistent.
Yep.
They might just be sick of it or they might just, believe in T. Higgins so much more than Jamar Chase. So, you always gotta, explore those options and see who's at the bottom of the league there. Yee, what's up, Yee?
Yo,
Pick
leave
one
it up.
flex. PPR, Stevenson, Olave, Damian Pierce. Oof, that is tough. And Stevenson's been getting more and more work. Olave's been getting work, and Michael Thomas is out again. I think Jameis is ready to play this week, though. And then you've got Damian Pierce, who has been playing great.
Those are three really good options if that's your flex.
Yeah. So this is a really good situation. I mean, to at least be in. But who is who's Damian Pierce playing?
Houston is playing Jacksonville at
So
Jacksonville.
so yeah, he's playing Jacksonville. He's been getting all the carries. Olave has been really
Saints are
good.
playing
I'm leaning either Pierce or Olave because they get most of the work because they're gonna get more work, I think, than Stevenson, even though Stevenson has been getting a lot of work. But let's see if Jameis is definitely playing or not. I
Saints are
think
playing home against Seattle.
no, he's doubted to play week 5. Jameis Winston is not gonna be playing week 5. So I think I'm gonna go Pierce this week on this one. What do you think, Hammer?
Yeah, that's a tough one too. Damian Pierce is really coming into his own. He broke off that massive run. He had a really good game. I think he had over 100 last week on the ground. I know most of it was that long run. But you see what he's capable of doing. If Jameis was playing, this would be Olave for me. But
Yeah.
since Andy Dalton's in there, I mean, no Michael Thomas kind of balances the scale a little bit. But I'll go with Damian Pierce just because Andy Dalton is back there. So I'll go with Damian Pierce. He's getting all of the work now, and out of the RB spot, I think he could get you 15 points out of the flex.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy that's gonna get 20 touches. I mean last game he had in a negative game script he had 14 carries and then he had the 6 catches on 6 targets on top of that. So he's starting to get the receiving work as well.
Yeah.
And Stevenson is not a bad option with Jameis out. I'm definitely not going Olave. It's a tough one between Stevenson and Pierce, really. But I think I like Pierce more, obviously, just because Damian Harris is there. But he
And
was still, I mean,
and they're still in a split. Like Damian Harris is still getting good work, and he's getting goal line work too. So
yeah, I mean, Stevenson had 14 carries last week and then 4 catches. He had 5 targets. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Pierce because they're starting to just give him the ball more and more. And the 6 targets last game and 6 catches was a great sign that they want to keep him on the field. So I'm gonna go with Pierce here. Yee. We're both going with Pierce here. The reason I'm considering is Detroit has second worst run D. Yeah, and that's another reason why you could lean Stevenson, but
Rashad Penny went bananas last week.
absolutely. But that could be Damian Harris and not Stevenson. Where Pierce, it can only be Pierce. So I'm
What's
gonna
matter?
go with
No love for Burkhead?
no. Burkhead hasn't been getting no damn burn. Now that Pierce is really doing good. So Simon says, "What's up, Simon? Like and subscribe if you haven't already for us there. But thoughts on Jefferson and Deontay for Mixon, Mike Williams, and Godwin. FPPR. Let me
Is he receiving Jefferson and Deontay or trading them away?
I don't know. Either way, what do you think?
I'm keeping Jefferson and Deontay. There's no way. I know Jefferson had a couple of down games, but he came back right to where he kind of should be. And Deontay's getting the targets, man. I just like the floor of Deontay Johnson, and I love the ceiling of Justin Jefferson. So I'm keeping those two guys. I feel like for Mike Williams and Godwin, I feel like is going to be dealing with injury concerns throughout the entire year, and Mike Williams is just he's too inconsistent for me to give up a guy with as much of a stable floor as Deontay Johnson. So I'm keeping Jefferson and Deontay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way you consider, I mean, just looking right at it, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm giving up Jefferson and Deontay for Mike Williams, Godwin, and Mixon, unless there's a situation where you are in desperate need of an RB.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason why maybe I would consider it. But if you're not in desperate need of an RB, don't give up Jefferson and Deontay. Jefferson is a monster, and Deontay is going to get better. The guy's 10 to 12 targets every week. Pickett is coming in now, and even though he heavily targeted Pickens last game and not Deontay is just too good, and he gets open. So they're going to get him the ball. I mean, the offense is designed to get him the ball, so they will still get him the ball. He's just too good of a target hog. So so I'm not giving them up unless again you're in desperate need of an RB there.
And then even still, if you are in desperate need, I'd rather make a different trade than have to involve these two guys. I'd go out there and maybe trade for a lesser running back, maybe a Jacobs, maybe a Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell combo if you can, get your hands on that, rather than give up a top 5 kind of fantasy player in Jefferson and a really, really solid wide receiver 3 flex in Deontay at this point, and just hang on to those guys and see if you can make a deal for maybe not as good of a running back if you need an RB2 or something like that.
Yeah, I would suggest the same. If you do have to make a move for an RB, maybe go and get something else. Because Mike Williams is a guy that, of course, we know is inconsistent, and then you've got Godwin on the other hand, coming back from the injury. He is
Much
with
of a
Tom
risk.
Brady, so I do like the upside there, but I don't think him and Mike Williams is worth the upside to go get Mixon and give up Jefferson and Deontay. So yeah, I don't think you should do that trade, Simon. If you are the one that has Jefferson and Deontay.
If it's the other way, you make that trade in a heartbeat.
If it's the other way, you do make that trade. If it's the other way, you do. You worry about RB and solidify Jefferson and Deontay. But thanks, Simon. Yee asking for a friend. 2 QB league, play Daniel Jones against Green Bay or drop Pickett to get Dalton and start him.
Yeah, I don't think I'm playing Daniel Jones at any cost, especially against the Packers.
but it says or drop Pickett. I don't think I want to drop Pickett because Dalton is only going to be a one game
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
or one, maybe another week after. But yeah, so I mean, if your only choice is to play Daniel Jones or you have to drop Pickett to get
Then you got to play
why do you
Daniel
have to
Jones.
drop Pickett? No, you can't have to play.
Yeah, because I don't know if there's so like in my league, in my home league, it's a 2 quarterback league, but we got into some weird stuff a couple of years ago where people were just taking quarterbacks off the waivers and hoarding them. So I had to put a 3 quarterback limit on the quarterback. So I don't know if your friend is in that situation.
Also available. So who's the first QB? Who's the QB1?
I would imagine it's somebody halfway decent if that's your QB2. You probably have to go with Garoppolo at this point.
Nah.
And just ride that out over Daniel Jones. I'm good. I want no part of Daniel Jones.
They'd play at least Pickett. Jalen Hurts is the QB1. Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about your QB2. I mean, yes, if the Giants are down, but it might give you a more decent floor.
Pickett's playing.
Daniel Jones has been running like crazy though too.
Pickett's playing Buffalo, dude. I don't like that.
Well, no, I'm not talking about just for next week, but if you're talking about for the rest of the season. Listen, I'm probably playing Daniel Jones, to be honest. I mean, he hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been worse than what, Pickett or Dalton could be.
Garoppolo too. Garoppolo could give you a steady floor.
I think I do like Daniel Jones because he's been running like crazy, and if he's not, they'll be throwing like crazy. But
I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but he has 6 rushing attempts, 10 rushing attempts, 9 rushing attempts, 6 rushing attempts. Like he's running the football. So, I mean, it's given him a decent floor. So, yeah, I'm playing Daniel Jones.
I still don't like it just because I think Green Bay has a really good defense.
Would you rather play Pickett against Buffalo though?
No.
Exactly.
That was. But he said Garoppolo's available, and this seems like this would be kind of like a rest of the season kind of deal. So I would go out and get Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo has more weapons. He's played in that offense. I'd rather have Garoppolo.
I don't know. I don't think he throws enough for me. I think I'd rather take my chances on Pickett than Garoppolo.
I don't know, man. I'm getting some production. Pickett's too unproven at this point. I'd go with Garoppolo if those were the 3 choices between Jones, Pickett, and Garoppolo. I'd probably take Garoppolo right now.
What has Garoppolo done?
I mean, nothing, that's earth shattering, but at the same point, if you're looking forward, you've got to imagine with IU.
I guess he's decent. I mean, 18, 10, 15. So, I mean, but that's the thing is that Daniel Jones has given you that already, and he hasn't been passing the ball good. So if he's giving you that already with the rushing, it's like, you kind of just have that little bit of upside. Not saying that he's a good QB, but we're talking fantasy. So
also, too, keep in mind that a lot of the Giants' offensive skill wide receivers are kind of hurt right now. Kenny Galladay's terrible. Shep is out. We don't know what Kadarius Toney is. We don't know what his situation is. Really, all they've got is Saquon Barkley, back there. So I don't know if that's enough. I feel like Garoppolo's stable of weapons is better enough.
Well, maybe that's why he's running so much, and he's having
possible.
Like the floor, like he's not passing good, but the floor has been really good because he's been rushing like crazy.
Yeah.
So, So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna play Daniel Jones. I don't think I'm not gonna drop Pickett because Dalton is just gonna be a 1-game guy. So, and I don't think you're gonna get much different play from Jones and Dalton. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with going with Daniel Jones. What's your final answer here, Hammer?
I would if he said Garoppolo is available, I'd take Garoppolo. I know I'm getting him for the rest of the season, and the offensive skill players for San Francisco are a lot better in totality than what you have with the Giants.
All right. Well, there you have it. And my guy Jimmy G. Would you drop Pickett for Garoppolo?
Yes, I would.
I don't think I would. Honestly, I mean it's close. It's not going to be. It's honestly not. It's not going to be a difference maker where you're not going to win the league whether you go with the difference between Pickett and Garoppolo.
I agree with that, but
in my opinion, so
if you're
it
looking for
really
more
just
safety,
matters what you want more. You know, do you want to go with Garoppolo, the more proven guy, or do you want to go with Pickett, who's, you know, he does have some weapons as well. So
yeah, he does, but that Steelers
uh,
offensive line is terrible.
yeah, it is. So yeah, taking everything into consideration, you just got to decide who you like better. Hammer likes Garoppolo better. I think I honestly like Pickett better. As crazy as that sounds, they're going to be down. He's going to be throwing. I feel like, and
Could mean
maybe
more
some of those
interceptions,
it
more
could, but
turnover.
those garbage points and those touchdowns might make might make more of a difference where Garoppolo is kind of run heavy. So just pick your poison. Like I said, you can't go wrong. It's going to be relatively close. They're not going to be, one is not going to do so much better than the other. So hopefully that helps you out there, Yee. What else you got, brother? Um,
Asking for a friend.
but anyway, buy low guy. That I actually did. I did a little short on the other day was Dalvin Cook. I'm sure you saw that gave away. um, what do you think about Dalvin Cook as a buy low kind of guy, or what Dalvin Cook has been doing so far during the season?
I mean, I don't. I'm not crazy about it. I know obviously the shoulder injury was a little bit of a concern for some people, but and we're talking about redraft, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, listen, for where Dalvin Cook was drafted, he shouldn't be the RB 25. Like that's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? Um, so if you can buy him low, I mean, I don't see a reason why you can't. Minnesota should have a better offense as the season goes along. And maybe as it gets a little colder, they rely on that run game a little bit more. The only risk with Dalvin Cook is the injury. He's had an injury history over the last couple of years. But depends on what you get him for. And I'm pretty sure we could say that about anything. It's weird because 12 points, 5 points, 13, and 10 over the first 4 weeks isn't where you drafted him. So if somebody wants to give up on him and you can give away, 2 or 3 guys, maybe a starter and maybe 2 bench guys, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? The upside is definitely there, but you're taking a risk on the injury front. Make sure you get Madison if you get Dalvin Cook, though.
yeah. Well, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the upside because if you're trying to make a move, it's because something happened, or maybe you had an injury, or you're like I said, 1-3, 0-4, whatever the case is. But
Right.
I mean, he's touchdown away from being in the top 15. And obviously he got injured, and I think he only played about 3 quarters that game when he got injured, and then that game, that horrible week where he only had 6 carries, where they kind of got their asses kicked. But even still with that, he's averaging 82 or 3 yards, from scrimmage, receiving and rushing. He's had 90 yards in 2 games, 75 in another game. He's 12th in rushing yards. So he's really just missing the touchdowns and some breakout runs maybe, but he's not crazy far off where he's a guy that you can go out and try and buy low, where that owner may be annoyed at the production so far, or they might be in a hole as well, where they might just want to try and make a move and get somebody. So you know for me, that's why I kind of like Dalvin Cook as a guy where you can go out and maybe try and buy kind of low right now. because of kind of the production that you see that you think is not there. But he's got elite usage. I mean, 20 rushes a game, 3 to 5 targets a game. Other than of course that one game where they got their ass kicked, but he's got elite usage, and that's kind of that's what you're looking for an RB1, right?
Yeah, I mean the snap percentage dipped a little bit from that first week. You're looking at somewhere in the mid 60s. It was close to 80 that first week against the Packers. Is that a product of the injury and then wanting him to, stay healthy throughout the course of the season? Sure. But like you said, if you're gonna get, 17 to 20 carries and 3 to 5 targets in the passing game, you're looking at 20 to 25 opportunities. There's got to be some value in that. And a guy like him, obviously, we know that he has breakaway potential to make those, home run 40, 50-yard type plays. And then if you get the touchdown, then you're in business. So, yeah, the upside is definitely there.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, even a 70% snap share. If he's getting 20 carries and 5 targets, like that's fucking absolutely fine. With me, but obviously that had to do with the one game obviously he got injured, and then last game I think obviously you don't want to throw him in there and give him 30 35 touches, so but he had like 25 touches, so it was good to at least see him go out and get that. But I think Deandre Swift is another guy that could be out there that you might be able to go and try and get from an owner that is has a losing record or is frustrated that obviously he hasn't been playing. What do you think about Swift?
Swift is a little risky for me, man. It's the same situation with Dalvin. Like the upside is definitely there, but you don't want to find yourself in a situation. And also, too, you might find yourself where you have to pick up Jamal Williams as well. We saw what Jamal Williams did in DeAndre Swift's absence. The injury history is there as well. So I think that's a little bit of a bigger risk. Obviously, he's a dynamic player, but man, the injury risk is there. And if you pick him up and unload some really good, consistent second tier players, it's there goes Cheddar. Ball don't lie.
What up, Cheddar?
But
Up,
yeah, for
man?
me, a guy like Swift, I really wouldn't want to take too much of a risk on, just because, like I said, the injury history is scares me away from him. I never really drafted him in any of my leagues. And if you do draft him, you're going to have to find yourself or if you do pick him up, you're going to have to find yourself going and picking up Jamal Williams as well. So that might be too much capital to invest to pick up for a guy that has too much of an injury history. If he was just playing, mediocre, and he was only averaging maybe 50, 60 yards a game, like a Miles Sanders was last year, and there wasn't really that much of an injury concern, I would be like, hell yeah, because the talent's there and he's going to break out at some point. But the injury history is just too much to overcome for me.
I mean, I think every running back has injury, concerns or injury history or could
You
get
know what
it.
I mean, though?
It's just part of the position. So if you want to win your league, a guy like DeAndre Swift that can give you, 25, 30 points a game, Christian McCaffrey that can give you 25, 30 points a game, there's always going to be that risk, of course,
But also,
that,
too,
that they
what's
can
it?
get injured. So, it just depends how risky you are. Do you want to fucking win the league or not? Or do you want to, take your chances and take a lesser guy and be a little more conservative, and go that route. So
Yeah, I think for me, especially when you're talking about buy low guys, I'm more inclined to buy low on a wide receiver or a quarterback than I would be on a running back. And I guess it obviously depends on the situation, what team he's playing for, who's behind him, who's the other running back that's in the mix. But I would tend to buy low on wide receivers and quarterbacks more than I would running backs, just from a overall like philosophy standpoint.
well, it depends. If you need you don't need a wide receiver, you need a running back, right? I mean, Brees Hall was another guy that I talked about as well. It might be a little bit harder now to get him after last game, but if you got him before then, it's looking good now because it looks like that Brees the Beast season takeover is here. What do
Yeah,
you think?
his snap percentage is going way up. His I'm looking at his game log from week 1 to week 4, and you could just see it just straight on an incline. It was obvious it was going to happen, and I think that his efficiency is going to go up a little bit as well. Now that Zach Wilson's in place, and it's no coincidence that the return of Zach Wilson saw Brees Hall have his most productive game of the season with 66 yards rushing and a touchdown, and also 6 targets in the passing game. He did have 11 targets in week 3. You kind of like to see, but I think they were. Oh, that was the Cincinnati game. But yeah, we kind of knew this was going to happen, especially as we got into October, and then obviously into November. I think he'll be, somewhere in the top 12 running backs on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Brees. I think it's just going to be hard to get him now at this point after, getting the majority of the work last game. But
Yeah, for sure.
do you think Chimera has a good game this week? On the verge of trading him, but want to see this game before I do. Um, I wasn't big on Chimera going into the season, and I'm not now. But he is a guy. Another guy you can kind of buy low on. But I would just say, you don't have to trade him, but you can shop him and see what you can get. If the right offer is there, then the right offer is there. Are you in need of something else? I don't mind tearing down a little bit at RB to maybe go out and get a wide receiver. So, it just kind of depends what you need. But if you don't have to give up on Chimera yet, like if you're set everywhere else, then you might as well just keep him. But what do you think, Hammer, about Chimera?
Yeah, Kamara's been really disappointing. I know his ADP was kind of taking a little bit of a tumble in a lot of our pre-draft stuff because we weren't sure if he was getting suspended. We didn't know. He's missed 2 games already, 2 out of the first 4. So right there, you're not really getting a lot of return on investment if you drafted him. I would definitely see what I could get for Chimera. In this sense, you might be best to wait until he has a breakout game and then sell high. If we're talking about buy low guys, Chimera might be a sell high guy if he has a really big game against Seattle coming up. So I wouldn't buy low on Chimera. I would kind of wait another week and see if I could sell high on him.
Yeah. Yeah, so do that. I mean, like I said, would you do Chimera for someone like Cook straight up? I mean, not really. It's just kind of a lateral move that doesn't really make much sense to do. I'm not a huge fan of just going straight lateral like that. I mean, they're going to finish fairly similar unless injury, stops that from happening. So yeah, I don't think I love that, but I don't hate it. But it's just like whatever. What do you think, Hammer?
Cook, who are we talking? Which Cook are we talking about? James Cook?
No,
Brandon
Dalvin.
Cook?
Dalvin.
Oh, Dalvin Cook.
It's got to be Dalvin.
We got a lot of Cooks in here. I think Dalvin Cook has the more stable offense, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. I would give up Chimera for Cook, but I wouldn't give up Cook for Chimera, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because I think Dalvin has the more stable, offense around him. Jameis, Andy Dalton. We don't know. So yeah, so I'd rather have Cook for the rest of the season. Chimera just hasn't looked right. He's missing games. So yeah, I'd rather have Cook in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd rather have Cook too, but at the same time, like it's just such a lateral move. Like, can you get something else thrown in there too to just make it like lean your way? It's just a very even kind of thing. But I am a Minnesota Viking fan, of course, so I would rather have Dalvin Cook, but it's just a lateral move for me. It's just not a thing that I like. But yeah, if you have some concerns about Chimera, then yeah, go out and get Dalvin Cook. You know, if that's what you feel, go out and do that. You know, we don't mind either one of those guys. But yeah, you know, Dalvin Cook, I think is a guy that might have, you know, a little bit more upside as far as and being in a better offense. But you know, Kamara is a guy that, you know, does it all and, you know, could go crazy any week. But yeah, you go get Cook if you're not comfortable with Kamara. Mm. Um, who's another running back? AJ Dillon. We'll go into some receivers in a second, but AJ Dillon. Do you think AJ Dillon is a guy that, you know, somebody should be going to try buy low right now as he hasn't kind of produced efficiently, or Aaron Jones is kind of getting a little bit more. I don't know. It's rough because he's still getting carries.
Yeah, AJ Dillon's a weird one for me. Obviously, I'm a big Packer guy. Um, Aaron Jones is the better running back, the more dynamic running back. And I think the problem with going and picking up AJ Dillon is it's all going to determine his production is pretty much going to be determined by the game script. And I think as the Packers get later into the season, they may rely a little more heavily on AJ Dillon as it gets colder. You know, Aaron Jones is really more that in between the 20s kind of guy. And then AJ Dillon is down near the goal line. Now, the Packers offense hasn't looked as explosive as years past, which we all thought, listen, it was just going to be AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. But the emergence of Romeo Dubes has probably taken away some opportunities from AJ Dillon, you know, with Aaron getting some more confidence in him. Obviously, Alan Lazard is kind of coming back into his own, catching some touchdown passes, really providing that red zone threat. I would buy low on AJ Dillon just because he's a running back that does have some upside as we go down the stretch. Now, I would have to see a couple of games or wait for an opportunity, maybe matchup wise. But it would be really tough for me to plug him in my lineup as anything more than a flex, as long as Aaron Jones is a healthy running back for the Packers.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you say you had Javante maybe, and now you're down a running back, and you know you've got a wide receiver that you can give up, and you can go get a AJ Dillon and a wide receiver. You can go get, you know, AJ Dillon plus. You
Yeah.
know, you know, so those are always moves that you can kind of go and try and make there. But speaking of wide receivers, you know, we talked about earlier, Chase obviously is a good guy to try and go and buy low right now. Obviously, that owner might be a little upset because most likely he went in the first
Drafted him
round
in the
or second round.
top
So,
8. Yep. Yep.
you know, depending on the league. But how about a Drake London, where obviously last week wasn't great, you know, where he might be a guy that, you know, he's kind of been a little up and down, but he might be a guy you can kind of go out there and try and buy low on, you know, from somebody if you need, you know, a wide receiver, you know, or if you're in a different situation, like kind of we just spoke about, if you need a, you know, an RB and a receiver, you know, if you can go get a, you know, a Dylan and a, you know, a Dylan and a Drake London for, you know, a wide receiver you give up or a running back like Chimera or some, you know, shit like that, you know, that would be a decent move or route to go as well. But what do you think about Drake London?
Oh yeah, bro. I've been a big Drake London guy. Really since the opening week. I wasn't sure what his rapport with Mariota would look like, but even after week 1, he had 7 targets. Wasn't a crazy game, you know, 5 grabs for 74 yards on 7 targets. But even then, thereafter, a monster game, 8 catches on 12 targets, touchdown. Next week, another touchdown. And the week at last week, even though it wasn't a great production output game, still 7 targets. So Drake London's going to get the targets. I would pick him up. He looks like the goods. Obviously, he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert, a Joe Burrow throwing to him. So, we maybe don't look at him as the kind of Jamar Chase of last year. And I'm not saying he is, but I think he can give you those kind of weeks out of that wide receiver 3 spot that can win you a week if he goes for 20, 25 on a given week, 100 yards and a touchdown. Buy Drake London and be happy with the proceeds.
Yeah, definitely. If you can go out and get him, definitely try and go out and get him. Another wide receiver that I kind of like that you can kind of buy low on and take a chance on. And these are guys that you want to just take chances on if you can, if you need a spark, or if you need to do a 2-for-1 or something like that, to try and just get some depth on your team. Chris Godwin, coming back from injury, got injured again. So that is a little bit, they always say sometimes it takes that first year to come back into form, but I mean, he is playing with Tom Brady and he is getting heavily targeted when he is in there. So I think Godwin is another guy that I like to try and go out and get low, if you need to. What do you think about Godwin?
So my only issue with Godwin is people know how good he is. They do understand he's coming off the injury, but I do think people realize how good Chris Godwin is. And I think from that, his price might not be low enough for me to go get him. It depends on what the price is, right? Now, if it's a guy like Drake London, who's a rookie, who people are just like, maybe not. We don't really know. There's no track record there, right? With Chris Godwin, we have a little bit of a track record to say we know he's a really good receiver when he goes out there. His price might be a little too high for me, considering he has a track record of really good production, especially when he's healthy. So it really depends on the price for Godwin. I wouldn't give up a starter for Chris Godwin if I could. If I could give up 2 bench guys, maybe, I would consider that. So that's kind of where I'm at with Chris Godwin, just because he is an established player and people might be charging too much because of his established, kind of track record.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've seen a lot of people involved in trades with Chris Godwin, or
Yeah.
have a bunch of questions about Chris Godwin. So it's tough because like you said, somebody could cover him a lot, but somebody could also not.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to try and find. And especially a team that's not doing well, they might not have time to wait for Godwin to start producing.
True.
So at that point, you want to try and get rid of him, but it's all about knowing the people in your league, and knowing
100%.
going after those teams that need to kind of make something happen. So yeah. The Catch, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in, man. We appreciate you, man.
Catch, appreciate you.
Keep on doing your thing. Um, Dylan, what's up, Dylan? Thanks for joining in tonight. Gotta love having Keenan Allen, Cordell, JT on my team.
Yeah. Try having Amon-Ra and Swift and
try having. Well, I had Swift, Allen Robinson, Matt Stafford, and Javonte all on one team. I had.
That's the old no bueno team.
Man, it hurts. But yeah, I mean, Keenan Allen's a guy that's been getting a little bit older, and that hammy is something that can linger, especially
all season.
When you're an older player, as we've seen. He keeps trying to come back and he's re-aggravating it. So I like Mike Williams, even though he's not consistent. I like Palmer, especially if Keenan is out. Cordell, sucks that he's out, but when he comes back, I'm sure he'll get that work as well. Speaking of that, Tyler Algier, a good guy to go and pick up. But then again, guys, don't forget about Damian Williams when he comes back. Where he's going to start eating in as well. So just be wary that, some of these guys, especially like dynasty wise as well. I don't know. I'm not a huge lover of Algier dynasty wise. We can have that conversation another day, Hammer. I know you've got him on the dynasty team there,
I
but
do, and I love
but
it.
yeah, JT's been bad as well. And then that injury, and then it just sucks with Hines obviously early in that game. Everybody, a lot of people played Hines. He was a good play, but obviously that didn't work out. King No Limit, what's up, King? Thanks for joining in, man. Like and subscribe if you haven't already for us there. But we appreciate you. Hey, who can I trade to get Chimera? You want to go get Chimera? Okay. My wide receivers are T. Higgins, Jefferson, Lamb, and Waddle.
Damn, like did nobody else pick wide receivers?
I can maybe get CH or Melvin Gordon or Keenan Allen in the deal too. Well, first I would say who do you have to give up? Who do they want?
Right.
Um, and in this league, are you able to start three? Are there three wide receiver slots to start and a flex? If you can give me just a little bit more, this way I can kind of get the bigger picture of it. Because I don't really love going out and getting Chimera because you're gonna have to pay a lot for him. I'd rather pay a lot less and go get a guy like CEH,
Yeah,
or maybe even Melvin Gordon instead of paying up to go get a guy like Chimera.
I agree. I
So
agree with that. Just off the rip and just off the question. Obviously, you kind of context is everything with the format of the teams. But CEH is probably going to cost you just based off his production and what his role kind of looks like on Kansas City. So that team may be looking to sell high on CEH. If you have these four wide receivers, Waddle might be a guy, without Tua that you could leverage into a good wide receiver. Lamb, I don't know. It would be Lamb or Waddle if you really want to upgrade your running back spot. I wouldn't mind coming off Lamb or Waddle to get a better running back because Higgins and Jefferson are going to be your guys. Those are your cornerstones. And I wouldn't move off of Higgins or Jefferson to go get a running back. It would be Lamb or Waddle for me.
uh, honestly, Hammer, if this is a start three wide receiver and one flex, I'm fine staying exactly where I'm put and just streaming that RB2 position because you're going to be dominating the three wide receiver positions and flex position where you can afford to go after, or have a lesser guy to play two wide receivers and one flex, he said. Okay, so in that case,
You have
it does
some,
it does change things, I guess a little bit, but again, who do you have to give up? Are there other players on your
and
bench
who's your
that
other running back?
yeah, are there other players on your bench maybe you can give up instead, or who's your other running backs that you have also? Well, if you could let us know that, King, that'd be great. Cheddarhead, do I trust Damian Harris this week? I'm tired of starting Curtis Samuel.
I mean, if you started Curtis Samuel, I mean, how long have you been starting Curtis Samuel? That's really the question. I mean, Curtis Samuel's been pretty good,
Yeah, other
but
I think other than last game, right?
yeah, I mean, I do think I trust Damian Harris for a more consistent production over the course of the rest of the season. Just because you can't, I think Curtis Samuel is having obviously a rebound season, comeback season by his standards, but Damian Harris is going to get 12 to 14 attempts a game, and he's going to get some goal line work. So Damian Harris, I trust Damian Harris this week. And really for the rest of the season, that Washington passing game, you can't rely on it. Now, Jahan Dotson did get hurt, so that may give Curtis Samuel additional targets in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean this is a tough one, and I think I'm gonna go Curtis Samuel. Stevenson has been playing more and more snaps, I think over 60% of the snaps last week. Harris is gonna get his carries and he is gonna get that goal line work, but I think his ceiling is kind of capped, and Curtis Samuel is gonna give you solid production, is getting like what 10 targets a game. I mean, he's been playing great, and it seems like the offense, they want to get him the ball. Like he's literally part of it. Like they want to actually give him the ball. So, and then like you said, especially with Dotson out, I think I like Curtis Samuel a little more this week, even though Wentz has shit the bed the last 2 weeks. Obviously, he's his normal self. 2 great games, 2 shit games. That's just what he does. But yeah, I think I lean a little bit more towards Curtis Samuel with Dotson being out. I think they're gonna try and get him a lot more involved. Especially, with Wentz having 2 bad games, I think we'll see a lot of short and screens and stuff to just kind of get things going. But you still got Harris, Hammer?
Yeah, I'm still taking Damian Harris just because of the Patriots' commitment to the run game, especially with Mac Jones kind of being injured and all that stuff. Damian Harris got 18 carries against the Packers last week. That will work for stable production. But just the nature of Bill Belichick's offense with the quarterbacks that they're running out there, they're going to look to run the ball 30 times a game. And if Damian Harris is at least getting half of that, that's going to give you solid production.
Yeah, last week you ruined me. Yeah, he had a bad week
It can
last week.
happen. Yeah.
Has played the Lions though. Lions defense is the worst. Yeah, again, like you can't really go wrong. I mean, you've got 2 good reasons to play either of those guys. With Dotson out, and then you've got the bad defense. So I'm gonna start Harris, and Samuel's gonna get 25 on my bench.
It can happen.
Typically, that's usually what happens. The guy that you don't go with winds up doing
doing the work.
Doing the work. So it's it's rough. Josh Reynolds or Isaiah McKenzie. This is a good one. I am a big McKenzie guy. You've got to kind of see if McKenzie's even going to play, because I think right now he's still in the concussion protocol. I don't know if he's cleared yet. Yeah, he's still questionable, so he might not play. And then Reynolds, it all depends on if St. Brown is playing. If St. Brown is playing, you're not playing Reynolds, I don't think.
Well, I don't.
I mean, even though Shark is out, it's
I don't.
Shark still out.
Give me 1 second. Shark, DJ Shark.
He's
out.
He is out. Okay, so yeah, I mean,
Reynolds is viable,
especially if St. Brown is out.
And the way Jared Goff's been throwing that football, man.
Yeah, they've been scoring and they have been throwing. Yeah, I probably will go with Josh Reynolds then in that case.
I think I'm leaning Josh Reynolds as well.
We're getting the targets, obviously, with St. Brown out and Shark out. And they've been down. They've been having to score, so I think Josh Reynolds has the higher upside, maybe. I mean, Isaiah McKenzie gets, it's not like he's getting 10 looks a game or anything like that, but
I agree.
There, so yeah, let's go Josh Reynolds there. Hold us to Josh Reynolds. Would you do Waddle for Eckler? Yes. 2 wide receiver and 1 flex in that league, absolutely. Trade Waddle and go get Eckler. I like that for you, King. What do you think, Hammer?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Eckler is going to he's going to make up for some of that receiving work, and he's going to get you, he's going to give you some rushing, maybe not as much rushing as you would like from an RB1 type guy, but fuck yeah, because you're going to get the receiving work and you're going to get the rushing work, and it's still a good offense.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, Waddle's expendable because of the format in your league. Like I said, if it was 3 wide receiver and a flex, maybe not. But even still, I probably would do Waddle for Eckler even in that case. That's a good trade. There. So yeah, I do like that. Eckler's floor is a lot better. But yeah. So yeah, we talked about Chris Godwin there. All right, let's talk about, I guess, some guys you would want to sell high on. Is there anybody that comes to mind that you think you would want to sell high on your team? Well, not necessarily on your team, but
yeah, I could take guys from my team. A guy that springs to mind right away, Josh Jacobs. You
Yeah.
know, he's had and I've been saying that he's been getting the production. He just hasn't been able to cash in, and he finally cashed in this week. And I think for a guy that gets as much opportunities as Jacobs does, for him to really bust out and have a big week, I think you could sell high on a guy like Josh Jacobs, and maximize his value. I don't see him doing this every single week. I kind of see him being that 18 carries, 70-yard kind of guy, consistently, which you like the volume. If he could cash in a touchdown, if he ends up with 8, 9 touchdowns, then you're talking about really solid RB2 status. So a guy on my team particularly that stands out is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just think obviously after that last game, he might not be easy to buy low on,
So
right.
you said sell high though, no?
Sell high. I mean, he might not be a guy you want to sell high, I think is another way that you can look at it because of where you drafted Josh Jacobs. And he's probably is your RB2 or
Right.
possibly even your flex. So, if you do need to move him, obviously you can, and he is a good sell high in that situation. But also, depending on where you draft him, you might just want to hold him if you've got other, good options at other positions. So, um, but yeah,
I'm just kind of more thinking about guys that have been kind of middling and then really had that breakout game where you're like, all right, his value's never been higher than it is right now.
yeah. So Dylan says start Dobbins or AJ Dillon. Maybe biased because I'm a Ravens fan. So Hammer's a Packers fan, but yeah. I'll let you answer this one first, Hammer.
Yeah, this might be J.K. Dobbins for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because as long as Aaron Jones is there, AJ Dillon's gonna be kind of capped. You know what I mean? To certain situations, the game script is gonna determine what's gonna happen with AJ Dillon. Aaron Jones is gonna get the bulk of the work, especially in kind of tight game situations. So yeah, I'd go with J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I'm going with JK too. I mean, he had the 2 touchdowns last game. But yeah, he's gonna get more reliable work than AJ Dillon is.
Agreed.
Right now, especially with the injuries that the other running backs have in that Ravens backfield. So Dobbins is gonna get most of that work. And so yeah, I'm gonna go with Dobbins there as well. But speaking of sell highs, Dobbins is a guy that I was gonna bring up as a sell high after he scored 2 touchdowns. I mean, he wasn't efficient on the ground at all,
Right.
but he did have the 2 touchdowns because they're the Ravens and they get into the red zone and that, option fucking handoff. It just so happened this week that he got the 2 touchdowns.
And
Next
it
week
could be Lamar next week.
it could be Lamar next week. That's the thing
Yep.
about JK. And if he's not scoring touchdowns, he's probably not really useful. So, uh, that's the little tough part about JK. And of course, he is coming back from the injury. So you can't expect him to be 100% back into form as far as running the football. But again, that touchdown upside is what could, really get him going there. But he is a guy that you can sell high on, especially where you drafted him as, he was going real late because nobody really knew, with the injury if he was going to be back or how that was going to go. So I do like JK as a nice, sell high kind of guy after that last week performance. What do you think about JK there?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the sell high, yeah, I don't really want any part of the Ravens backfield just because is what you said, because Lamar gets so many of the rushing opportunities and the attempts, and on that that RPO, you just don't know what's gonna happen there. There's no way to kind of bank on consistent production from any of the Ravens running backs because Lamar is such a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Ring Chasen, thanks for joining in, man. Like and subscribe if you haven't already for us there. We appreciate you. But start Damon Pierce or Curtis Samuels.
Fairly
Um,
easy.
and we kind of talked about both of these already. We do kind of like him, but then again, you've got the big bad Damien Pierce, who's came in and played really well actually so far, and they're starting to give him the ball more and more and more. And Hammer, you jumped right out and said pretty easy. Who are you going with here?
Yeah, this is Damian Pierce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only because we saw the breakout game, but just because that Houston offense is kind of built around him.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Samuel, like you said, we touched on him. He's been really a little bit of a renaissance for him, but with that Washington offense being so Jekyll and Hyde, you just don't know on a given week if he's going to go for 20 or 4. So go with Damian Pierce, and he has the higher floor. I mean, yeah, he has the higher floor and the higher ceiling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think both of their floors are pretty good because Samuels is just getting the ball, regardless, even though we had only like that 5 points last game, he's been pretty decently, consistent as far as his touches. But yeah, I mean, Damian Pierce is the starting running back. He's going to get 15, 20 touches,
Mm-hmm.
at the least. Last game he had the 14 carries and the 6 receptions. So he had 20 touches in total. And that's what you can expect pretty much from Damian Pierce. They got to get him the ball.
And that'll get the job
He's
done.
the only thing really on their offense that's doing anything. So yeah, I'm starting Damian Pierce instead of Curtis Samuels there. Ring chase, and yeah, I'm starting Jamal Will and Barkley at my running backs. Yeah, so if you can throw Pierce in the
That's
flex
perfect.
over Samuels is perfect. But yeah, thanks for the question, Ring Chase, and make sure you like and subscribe for us there if you haven't. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's nice. Jamal Will and Barkley, and then you've got Pierce in the flex there.
Really,
Even
it's Barkley and Pierce, and then Will in the flex.
yeah, either or. But the good thing about what you have is that even when Swift winds up coming back, Jamal Williams is still a playable guy. So
Valuable.
you can still have him. You can
Yep.
still have him in the flex. So that's good. Need them to go off because Russ sold me at QB.
He's
Yeah,
been doing that to a
yeah.
lot of people.
We've been talking about that a lot. Russ is obviously very disappointing, and I keep saying Pete Carroll fucking knew it. Pete Carroll was like, all right, bye. We'll roll with Gino. Trust me, we'll be all
How's
right.
that working out?
And that's working out. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Russ is kind of, and this is why Seattle didn't let kind of Russ just like cook, as they say, is because they wanted to have a great defense. They wanted to run the ball and just have Russ, do what he does and make the plays when he needs to make the plays, get out of the pocket and run. And I think that's what we're kind of missing now is that he's not really getting those those extra plays where he's out of the pocket and creating something and making something happen. I don't see that at all. I think he's just trying to be like this kind of pocket QB, and he's
And
just
he's
kind of
not that.
small, and he's not that. And
Nope.
that just worries me a little bit, especially nowadays where he's getting older. So
So I was just gonna bring that point up, and watching Russ over these first couple of games during the season, and even a little bit more last year, he looks different. Like the way he plays is different now. He doesn't run around as much. He doesn't do a lot of what we saw those first 5 or 6 years that really separated him and kind of made him a franchise quarterback when you think about it, because he was able to extend plays. The threat of the run was there, and then he could find people, when he was outside of the pocket or things broke down. So, and I do think he is trying to play like a traditional QB, like Aaron Rodgers type, where he sits back there and just picks people apart. And when you're 5'9", 5'10", he got a couple of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage yesterday, and I'm just like, yeah, he's not that,
And when I was watching the Panthers game, I saw Baker Mayfield 2 times in a row trying to throw a little out to DJ Moore, wide open by the way, but batted down at the line, and him and Russell Wilson just kind of like it was just the same thing running through my mind as like they just can't see over that shit or hit the ball over that. And Russell's never been a QB that's sitting in the pocket really. He's always usually
off
on the
schedule.
run or trying to making something happen. So
Mm-hmm.
he's got to get back to that, and that's kind of what pissed me off about Hackett and the Broncos is they weren't running the ball with Javonte enough when they needed to. They're just relying on Russ to throw the ball from the pocket, and that's just not how they need to play. Obviously, as it's been showing, they can't move the ball, they can't score touchdowns in the red zone. I
It looks
mean,
bad. It looks
couldn't
bad.
even score a touchdown last night, and we've had to watch them fucking numerous times already.
He threw 2 interceptions in the end zone. Like, damn.
It's just ugly. And they shouldn't even threw the ball. I mean, it was 4th and 1. They should have ran it, to be honest. They were at like the 5, I think, that at the end of the game there.
Yeah.
Like the 5 or 6 yard line. They should have ran it to get the first and then had additional plays to try and score a touchdown instead of just saying, okay, we're gonna just try one time.
Did you see the replay where KJ Hamler was wide open?
No, I missed it. I didn't even see that.
Wide open, and he lost it at the end of the game, and Rush was just staring down Cortland Sutton the entire way, and Gilmore said, "Not up in here."
Yeah, so the slant was open.
Yeah.
He didn't even look. Yeah. And you can go back to even the game before that. They have the meme and the picture of Javonte Williams just fucking wide open.
Yep.
Standing there in the end zone, and Russ is just not throwing him the ball. And it's just like I don't know what's going on with Russ, but does Tom Brady have a good game now that he got another opening for a ring?
Oh, I think this is referring to off the field. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Definitely, that's funny.
Well, I guess just to answer the question directly, they are playing the Falcons. So, yes, I do expect Tom Brady to have a good game. They're at home, and they're playing the Falcons. So, yes, I expect Tom Brady to have a good game. Not because he has another opening for a ring, but because he's Tom Brady and he's playing the Falcons. And he looks like he's going to have most of the complement of his weapons there. Godwin, Evans, Gage, Fournette.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played great really all season, but now he has all of his weapons pretty much back in Evans and Godwin. Julio obviously has been banged up. Like me and Hammer have been saying all season about Michael Thomas and Julio Jones. Michael Thomas, another one, out again this week. And we've been preaching this all season long and all, before the season, leading up to the drafts. Just,
stay away.
You don't want those guys. They're not going to be, what they used to be. And it's just showing now why you don't go after guys like that who have just been injured, especially
listen,
in their careers.
If you pick up, first of all, Julio Jones shouldn't have been drafted. That's number one. If you picked up Julio off waivers, cool. Do that. That's fine. It doesn't cost you anything. If you draft
really late is okay. Really late is okay on your bench.
Right. Like maybe right before you draft a kicker, then you take on a shot on guys like that. Michael Thomas, I kind of understand why people took a little bit more of a shot, but even still, I still wasn't taking Michael Thomas. Anything, if you're in, if you got 16 rounds, I wasn't taking him before the 12th round or something like that. But if you did get him, he was a sell high guy after the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and a lot of people were going at me because of the first 2 weeks, and I'm like, listen, it's just season. It's a season long thing. He wasn't even playing all the snaps at that time anyway.
Yeah,
and,
it was limited.
It's just a little bit rough where you just gotta look at reality and temper your expectations. And you've got to draft accordingly to that. You can't if you drafted him as your wide receiver 2 or 3, you're probably hurting or upset. So he's got Evans, so let's hope so. Yeah, I mean, he's got his boy Evans there, so you can't. He's going to be throwing the football. He's going to score points. So I'm back on Tom Brady. Pulse Zero, thanks for joining in, Pulse. Like and subscribe if you haven't there for us. We appreciate you. Must win week. Yeah, every fucking week is a must win week, Pulse. It's been
Preach.
It's rough in fantasy football. It's every week matters, and you've got to play it like week by week kind of game. So even if you're down 1-3, 0-4, you still got a chance. Every week, you just got to take it one at a time. But should I risk starting James Conner against Philly or throw in Ramondre Stevenson against Lions D? Absolutely throw in Ramondre Stevenson, and it's not even really close for me. But what do you think, Hammer? Am I crazy, or is this not even close?
No, I have James Conner, and I've had him all season in one of my redraft leagues, and he's been, let's just say, not very good. I think I drafted him in maybe like the 5th or 6th round, and he hasn't been good. Take Ramondre and don't even look back.
Yeah, especially in full PPR where Ramondre is going to get the receptions, and
Yep.
James Conner was a guy that I wasn't high on going into the season. I don't like him. He's just getting up there in age, and I just stayed away from him. But yeah, if you did draft James Conner, you're probably upset. But yeah, go with Ramondre Stevenson. Try and trade James Conner if you can. Maybe throw in something else and try and get something. But you've got Rodgers, Chubb, Connor. Well, at least Chubb is making up for Connor's shit for you. Rodgers, Jefferson, Godwin, Waller, and Brandon Cooks. 0-4, 1K buy-in, 12-team league. Woo. That is rough. Listen, I love it. I love the fucking 1K buy-in. That is elite because that is like serious,
all in,
serious motherfuckers only.
all in.
And that's awesome. How you're 0-4, I mean, that sucks because you got Waller, you got Cooks.
Chubb.
But Godwin obviously has been out. You do have Chubb.
Jefferson's been up and down.
Drop Kenneth Walker. Hold on, I read that. Hold on, Nick. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I mean, you're 0-4. Darren Waller should be a lot better. He is a guy that I can say is kind of like a buy low as well because I do expect him to get better. Brandon Cooks should get better, but again, he's going to be up and down. He's kind of in a shitty offense. Godwin should get a lot better as the season goes on and as he gets stronger and more healthy. Connor is just a tough one, but then you've got Chubb. Rodgers is going to be kind of up and down as well. Listen, I'm not, you are 0-4. I'm not opposed to, shopping a Jefferson or shopping Chubb and seeing what you can get. If you can get 2, 3 pieces and make your team better and able to compete a little bit more, I wouldn't mind, trying to do that and just seeing what's out there. Not saying definitely trade them, but just shop around and see what you can get because people will pay up for Jefferson and people will pay up for Chubb, especially right now at their production that they're giving you. So rather get rid of Chubb before I get rid of Jefferson. So I'd shop Chubb first. But what do you think, Hammer?
Yeah, I think especially for this particular team, I think that you want to shop Chubb first, just because I think Jefferson has a better path to more stable production.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, you wouldn't be doing your due diligence if you were 0-4 and didn't look to make moves. The Aaron Rodgers thing is really tough for me. I didn't draft him in any of my leagues. And for this particular reason, because I knew that without Davante Adams, he was going to have a hard time finding a path to quarterback one production. And obviously, if you're in a one quarterback league with 12 teams, he's not giving you quarterback one production at this point. He's an amazing Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's not giving you what you need to get wins on a weekly basis. So, it pains me to say, but listen, if you go out and pick up a guy like Geno Smith or Jared Goff off waivers, they may give you a path to wins before Aaron Rodgers does at this point at the quarterback position. So I would definitely look at waivers for quarterback. I wouldn't trade for a quarterback right now. I would try and maybe upgrade at other positions and then see, where that takes you from there. But yeah, your two pieces that are going to net you something in return are going to be Chubb and Jefferson at this point.
Yeah, or maybe even Godwin and Waller as well. I mean, honestly, I just shop everybody, see who's out there, who needs something, or who likes those certain guys. There's
Yeah.
always Darren Waller lovers who just fucking love Darren Waller. So if you could come off Darren Waller and get an RB, or if you can trade a combination of Waller and Connor for an RB or a QB, or you've got plenty of options, or you've got guys that have names that people want. Godwin, Waller, Chubb. Like, so, I definitely try and make some moves. But like I said, you're not in horrible position. I mean, if Godwin and Waller start balling out, and you got Jefferson and Chubb, and Connor's decent, and Cooks, does what he usually does. I mean, you're not in a horrible position. But if you want to try and do something a little bit better, just try and see what's out there. It's been rough. Second in scoring and have the most points given up. Yeah, I mean,
It'd be
I've
like
been
that.
in that situation in numerous leagues, and it happens sometimes, because you've got Chubb and Jefferson are just unbelievable. But also, take a look at who you're playing also the next few games and down the line, because if you're playing maybe some weaker, you said you're giving up a lot of points. If you're playing some weaker teams the next few weeks,
You could pile up some
you might
wins.
just want to ride it out, but I would still try and just shop around and just see what's out there. You don't have to make a trade. There's nothing that hurts you, when you just go shop around and ask. I mean, I myself, I'm the same shit. I'm like, all right, who wants Deandre Swift? Who wants fucking St. Brown? Because I'm in a position where I'm 1-3 or 0-4, and I'm just like, all right, let me just see what's out
See
there and
what's
what I
out
can get.
there.
Because people
Yeah.
will give up a lot, and people will make dumb trades, and you're trying to be on the right end of it. But Nick R, thanks for joining in, man. Like and subscribe if you haven't for us there. Drop Kenneth Walker for Odell. No, I'm not. I'm not dropping Kenneth Walker for
Mm-mm.
Odell. Kenneth Walker is a guy that can be a league-winning guy. Odell is not going to be
Down the stretch.
anything close to that. But
Yep.
Kenneth Walker could eat in a little bit more and more to Rashard Penny. Rashard Penny obviously had a great game last game, but who's to say that's going to continue
And if Penny
on?
gets hurt,
And who's to say that Penny's not going to get hurt as well? So,
yeah,
yeah, I'd rather keep Walker and the upside that Walker has than Odell, because Odell's not going to come in and give you wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 numbers when he comes back. He's coming back from injury, and most likely he's not even going to be available until playoff time. Like, so, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I'm not going anywhere near Odell, Nick. You can you can forget about Odell.
yeah, I got a little bit of a day ahead of me tomorrow. I might have to bunk out a little bit early on you.
When, tomorrow? Or you mean
Yeah,
today?
yeah. I got to wake up early. I got some real estate shit to do in the morning.
Oh, you're talking about today to get out early because you got tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
But
still got to shower and shit.
all right, just talk about a couple more guys real quick. Another sell higher, as we just talked about, Rashard Penny. What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
I was never really high on Rashard Penny to begin with. The Seattle offenses look better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. In terms of, Geno Smith really getting that thing kind of moving a little bit. So yeah, I would sell Rashard Penny high. I think just because of the injury history and Kenneth Walker lurking in the background, that's a guy you kind of want to cash in as much of those chips as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing with Kenneth Walker, where with Brees Hall was a little bit different, is that Brees Hall is just such a more superior like athlete than Michael
Oh, of
Carter is.
course.
And Rashard Penny he happens to be really fucking good. He might be old and he might get hurt a lot, but he was a first round pick, and he is good. And I don't think that Kenneth Walker is like so much crazy more better than him.
Right.
So it might not, it might take an injury. But maybe deeper down in the season they do start, splitting carries. But yeah, I'm not dropping Kenneth Walker at all. He's a great guy to just stash on the bench. That could turn into something really good. So uh Antonio Gibson, even though he hasn't done, great, but obviously Brian Robinson's coming back. I think it's too late to get rid of Gibson at this point
I
where
agree.
people just kind of are like, yeah, no, I'm not, I ain't taking no part of Gibby. And I was saying try and trade him early because, as weeks go on, it's, and then he doesn't produce on top of Brian Robinson coming back, and it gets
Just
bad.
spells gloom and doom.
But yeah, but I got two more guys for you real quick, and they're tight ends. If you had to get a tight end that you want to sell, that you would sell high on right now.
I don't know. Everett's kind of tough for me to give up. I don't know if I could give up on Everett just because it's a really shallow position.
Do
I
you
know,
worry about Parham coming back?
Not really. I think because Everett's been so good,
Yeah.
maybe they will split some of those opportunities. But bro, tight end's such a shallow position. I think really outside of the top 3 or 4 guys, you could go into a stream situation and just see what happens. So I'm not really selling a tight end per se. Um, just because whatever production I could get out of them, I'm going to get out of them. And if I don't have a Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews or you can't even say Kittle anymore because he's not really in that class. It's really Kelce and Andrews. I know your boy Conklin has been creeping up the tight end charts.
He's been solid. Yeah, I was saying to pick him up because he's been solid, but I'll give you two tight ends that you can kind of sell high on. And I sold one. This is in a dynasty league, which is something totally separate. And I wound up getting a tight end. We got to do a dynasty episode because we got to talk about it. But Zach Ertz, right? Obviously been killing it right now.
Yeah.
But DeAndre Hopkins does come back soon.
Pretty soon. Yeah.
Does that take a little bit of a hit on him where, you might be able to get out and sell high right now in order to get, better at another position? So I think Zach Ertz is a good guy. What do you think about Zach Ertz?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of makes sense just from the standpoint of a D-Hop coming back. But I do think Ertz does finish in the top 12 overall at tight end.
Definitely.
So I don't know what you're replacing him with at a shallow position. You know what I mean?
Well, if you could stream the position and go get a Drake London or something like that from a guy that doesn't have a tight end, you know what I mean? Like, and then just stream the position.
Yeah.
And give up Ertz. I'm totally down, for that. That's the thing is that Ertz has been so good where, you can get something decent for him.
That's, that kind of situation would make sense. And I would definitely do that. But yeah, I do like Ertz. If I got offered London and maybe like a backup running back for him, yeah, I would fucking do that. I don't think anybody would be that. But even London for Ertz straight up, I would still do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why London is the one that came to my mind, but speaking of, I did a trade actually in a redraft league, in one of these Instagram leagues. So I traded. So this is my team. It's a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I've got Josh Allen, Michael Pittman, Christian Kirk, Najee Harris, Swift, Jamal Williams, Go Dirt. I've got Waddle. I've got St. Brown. So I've always had to play one guy on the bench, whether it was Kirk or whether it was Waddle or Pittman when he got hurt. And I've got Olave sitting on my bench as well. So I traded Olave for James Robinson. Somebody offered it to me, and I was like, yeah, Olave's on my bench. I'm not playing him. I can always use Robinson maybe in the flex if I need to. And so I traded Olave for Robinson because I needed, if I needed a backup running back as well. So it's like, fuck it. Yeah. What do you think about that? Robinson and Olave.
Robinson. So you gave away Olave and you got James Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think the Jags are committed to James Robinson being really productive. He wasn't uber productive last week, but that's okay. Over the course of the season, I still think he'll be, somewhere in that RB 15 range, which is pretty good for, high end RB 2 production, maybe even touching low end RB 1 production. The only issue I have with Olave is that quarterback position is kind of in flux right now. Jameis is starting to turn it over, and when he's not in there, it's Andy Dalton. And can you really trust Andy Dalton to give you the production you're going to need? Nah. So I think it's a good trade, just especially looking ahead.
Yeah, because I got Swift and Najee, but after that, I've got like Pollard and Darrell Henderson, Tyler.
Right. So James Robinson's going to.
I'd rather have the depth at running back because I've already got it at wide receiver. So I was like,
right.
All right. I was surprised actually I got offered it. I'm like, that's actually perfect for me.
Yeah.
But Nick says KC or Packers defense.
Chiefs playing the Raiders. on Monday night. Packers playing London against the Giants. It's the Packers defense.
Yeah, it's definitely the Packers defense here. I'm going with that as well. But all right. I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. I don't got anybody else really on the top of my head right now. But you got anybody else you want to talk about as like a buy low, sell high, or anybody that came to your mind that we missed?
I think I kind of got the guys, especially like guys on my team or guys that just popped to mind. But yeah, those are pretty much the guys that I kind of had in mind, like a Jacobs, sell high, Chase, kind of buy low. And then obviously some of the guys that we talked about as well. So I think I'm good.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that'll pretty much wrap it up. If we don't got any other questions there, I do have an announcement. We are going to be doing a giveaway, and I have a Michael Pittman, PSA graded 10 mint condition card, in the case and everything. And I'm going to be giving that away if you are a subscriber to our channel and also follow us on Instagram. So on the top there, Dynasty Life Fantasy is our Instagram. So head to our Instagram so that you can see the post. I'm going to post it tomorrow, the picture of the card and everything. And if you like the post and comment on it with two friends, tag two friends in it, and you subscribe to us, you will be entered in the raffle to win the Michael Pittman PSA graded 10 card. So stay tuned for that. You just got one more question here. Yo, when Brian Robertson has to come off RI, who do I drop, Herbert or Stevenson? Ooh, neither. I think I'm sticking with Herbert and Stevenson.
Until you see
Yeah,
what Brian Robertson got.
yeah. Until Brian Robinson proves that he has a role bigger than Herbert or Stevenson, I don't think you pick him up at all in that case.
Yeah, you're definitely not dropping Stevenson.
Definitely.
Obviously with David Montgomery, we don't know what his status is. I would try and look to see whoever has David Montgomery and see if I can move off of Herbert, maybe get something for him.
Yeah.
If you don't want to drop Brian Robinson at this point. So that would be my course of action. See who has Montgomery and try and move Herbert to that owner for something in return.
Yeah, that's a good idea. This way you get something at least that's valuable and somebody that you can play. You can probably get somebody decent, especially because they'll probably rather have Herbert, to back up Monty. So,
Right.
yeah, that definitely would be a good idea. But thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. If you like this, just like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little notification bell there so you can get the updates of when we'll be on. But we're on every Tuesday, every Friday, every Saturday night, 10:30 Eastern time till about 12:31, whatever, depending how many people hop on and comments and stuff we get. And then we're also on Sunday morning too. But yeah, just like and subscribe, guys. Hopefully you like this. And again, we appreciate you. Hammer, any last words?
Hell no. Get a win, man. I'm 0-4 in the league. I'm searching for some wins, man. Let's get those wins this week.
Yep. Listen, hit us in the comments down below if you got any questions. Or of course you can follow us on Instagram also, and hit us in the DMs there. But thank you guys, and we appreciate you. We'll see y'all tomorrow night.